Hey everyone, it's Paula Yu from the Watershed Project. I hope you all are well. I'd like to give a shout out to my friend Sarah Cipher, who sewed me this awesome cloth mask that I'm using every time I need to go out, which is not often, mind you. Well, vegetable gardening is trending right now, and if you had planned on putting in a vegetable garden and then you went out looking for seeds or starts and came up empty-handed, well, you're not alone. But not to worry. You probably have the makings for a really excellent vegetable garden in your refrigerator produce drawer and in your pantry. I went rooting around in my produce drawer to see what sort of vegetables I had that I could propagate from kitchen scraps. And it turned out that I had quite a lot. Every time I had a kitchen scrap, I would put it in a shallow dish of water to get it started. So let's see what I've got. First, let's start with the obvious. If you've got green onions or green garlic, you've got an entire plant that's ready to go. Green onions are a whole plant, roots, bulb, and leaves. So when you use the green part of the green onion, hold on to the bulb and stick it in some water. This has only been in water for a few days, and you can see that already the green part is starting to grow. And this piece of green garlic here has been in the water for about a week. You can see how many roots it's developed, and it's even developed some new foliage as well. The same goes with leeks. I put these leeks in only a few days ago, and look at how the roots have really developed, and there's a little miniature leek coming out of the top of here. Sprouting garlic is a no-brainer. As soon as you see that green shoot, put the clove in some water, and you can see how many roots have developed off this clove, which has only been in the water for a few days. Here's a clove that I've had in water for about a week, so you can see how well developed it's become in a week's time. I've got some root crops here, carrots and beets, and I use the carrot root and then I put the base into the shallow dish of water, and within a few days I had this cute little feathery foliage coming up, and I'm not sure if you could see it, but there are little roots developing on the edge of this carrot top as well. Same with the beets. These beets have been in the water for less than a week, and you can see all of the leaves that are starting to develop, as well as some little baby roots. You can propagate nearly any root crop this way. That is, the crops where we eat the root, but we usually toss out the leaves. If you cut off the root and hold on to the base of the leaves and put it in shallow water, it'll start to develop over time. Now let's take a look at some vegetables which are the opposites. We usually eat the leaves and toss out the bases. Here's a celery base that I put into the dish less than a week ago, and you can already see that it's starting to green up and develop right in the center. And here's a lettuce base that I put into this dish about a week ago, and I've already got a miniature head of lettuce growing here. Now let's talk about what's in your pantry. I have a good feeling that you, like me, probably have a lot of dried beans in your pantry right now. I've got red kidney beans, I've got black beans, I've got pinto beans, I've got white beans. Well, beans are seeds, and you can grow an entire plant from a bean. I had never done that before, at least not from my pantry, and so I thought I'd give it a try with some pinto beans. I took a few pinto beans and I placed them in a damp paper towel, which I then placed into a Ziploc bag. And I placed the whole bag in a warm location in my kitchen. Within a couple of days, I was amazed to see that every single one of these beans had sprouted. I got 100% germination rate from some beans that I bought at the grocery store. Now, beans don't like to be transplanted, so you should plant these directly in their permanent location. And remember, unless it's a type of a bush bean, beans are vines, and they're going to need something to climb on. So make sure to give them a pole, a trellis, or a fence to climb on. What else can we use from our pantries? What about lentils? What about quinoa or chia seed? I bet a lot of you have had chia pets at some point in your life, so you know just how easy it is to grow chia seed. You just sprinkle it directly into your garden beds. What about roasted, salted sunflower seeds? Nope. Only raw, unprocessed seeds can be planted. So if you've got raw sunflower seeds in the shell or raw pumpkin seeds in the shell, you certainly can plant those. Now let's talk about potatoes. We've all had a potato sprout on us before. Each one of these spots where the sprout is coming out is called an eye.
You could toss this whole potato into the ground and have a bunch of plants coming out of a single potato, but it makes more sense to cut it into pieces and have an individual plant come out of each eye. Now, I've never grown potatoes before, but everything I've read says that you need to let the cut pieces of potato sit out and dry out or callus before you plant them. Potatoes need good drainage, and I have really dense clay soil in my yard, so I'm going to grow my potatoes in this pot. I plant a lot of trees, so I always have a lot of these 15-gallon pots around. But if you don't have a pot this size, a good alternative is a deep tote. Just don't forget to put drainage holes in the bottom. I've filled this pot with a few inches of soil, maybe about 3 inches, and I'm going to put the cut potato pieces down into the soil. Next, I'll cover the potato pieces with some soil. Potatoes are unusual plants in that as they grow, you have to keep burying about 2/3 of the stem in soil. So if you have a shoot that's 6 inches high, you have to bury 4 inches of it and only leave about 2 inches of it exposed. Why does this need to be done? The part of the plant that gets buried will develop potatoes along its length. I'll keep burying the plant until the soil gets close to the rim of this pot. Now let's pot up some of those veggies we started from our kitchen scraps. Before we get started, I want to introduce you to a very useful tool for potting, and I guarantee that you have one, the humble dinner fork. A fork works great for digging out depressions to put your plant in. It's also really great for carefully taking plants out of pots. So onions and garlic like to have good drainage, and I'm going to start them in this pot. I'm going to take my garlic plants that I started, and I'm going to carefully make a planting hole for each of them. There we are, the dinner fork in action. And now I'm going to take one of my favorite repurposed mushroom containers and I'm going to start the carrots in this little container. And there you have it. These carrots are going to grow in here for a little while before I transfer them to the garden. I think I'll put the celery in this repurposed yogurt container. There you have it. It's well on its way. The lettuce, the beets, and the leeks, I think I'm going to put those directly into my garden bed. Well, I hope you've come away from watching this video knowing that you don't need to go out to buy seeds or starts in order to have a really great vegetable garden. You've probably got most of what you need at your disposal in your fridge and in your pantry. Also, don't forget to check the resources listed at the end of this video. There's a lot of great information in there for your gardening adventures. Hasta luego.